growth of the private sector.
Perhaps these are personal positions, you know, in a sense. I mean, like the examples you give, these are, honestly speaking, things that the president has said. Does the party distance itself from that kind of position? Perhaps that's not the position of a party or of a Mills.
Well, I don't like the statements overblown to indicate that because the president said that, the business community is living in fear. That's the impression that Ado is trying to create. Unfortunately, that is not the situation. Business is growing. We have come from a certain period, you know, coming from the PNDC era, you know, into the democratic period. We started an experiment in democracy again. Everybody has been learning since then. You cannot take certain statements that were made in a certain period, in a certain context, and use them to characterize the history of the country since then till now. I think that is wrong.
I mean, for 4 years, he's described me as incompetent. For 4 years, he's described me as visionless. For 4 years, he's described me as a thief. He says, when I come to pound, steal your money. What does that mean? It means I'm stealing Ghanaians' money. I'm a politician. I know it's an occupational hazard, you know, sometimes to have your opponents vilify you or something, and so I don't take it as anything. And so I'm talking about, I'm campaigning, and I'm saying that we need, at this stage of Ghana's history, somebody who can bring the nation together. And my opponent's track record does not fit that role, because in his own party, he's not able to bring his people together. Today, that is the truth. People can criticize Akufo-Addo in MPP. If you criticize him, they'll suspend you, or they'll sack you, or his attack dogs will set on you. Ask people in MPP, they're quiet. And that's why I said a good number of people in MPP are quiet. They can see the bus is going to crash. But if they say it, they will attack them. And so they're quiet, waiting for the bus to crash. And when it crashes, I said they'll take the bus, send it to Kukumpi, repair it, and put it back on the road for 2021. He should learn to accept criticism. I do. People insult me, vilify me. I don't utter a word. And so when I say, you cannot unify your party, so, I mean, for 4 years, he's described me as incompetent. For 4 years, he's described me as visionless. For 4 years, he's described me as a thief. He says, when I come to pound, steal your money. What does that mean? It means I'm stealing Ghanaians' money. I'm a politician. I know it's an occupational hazard, you know, sometimes to have your opponents vilify you or something. And
we should think about the poor.
Obahi bebre, ano poku are no mawano. Asante kotokono no. Soni ebedi akwa abuabua ho. Etione tone sakra abuankwa. Yedi etiribeto ho. Asem free titio. Free titio odmankuma. Ade no yamfa anto de da. Na efrato. Odmankuma ba ade. Oba asante kotokokofo. Okun afrana nanom. Yakun anu ohye. Kotoko jemi bi okunfo ne ye. Ekun bia ebedi na ntiasie wom. Asante kotoko no no. Edina nkrofo ti di eti pimpim. Konfo hu bibi onfa ni timpim duem. Ayempo asante kotoko. Boafo akon na na se etu no no. Aye kunu mado aje. Aye kubu eferi o. Anasa wa pe kunu benu o. Aye kunu mado aje. Aye nana so to bring ponia. Anasa wa pe domne ne ku o. bebre.
On February 6, 2017, following the death of her mother and predecessor, she was installed as the 14th Asantehima, taking the name Nana Konadu Yadom. The prophecy that had seemed so distant had come to pass, validating the spiritual dimensions of Asante traditional leadership. For 8 transformative years, Asantehima Nana Konadu Yadom III redefined what it meant to be a traditional leader in modern Ghana. Her reign was characterized by an extraordinary blend of ancient wisdom and contemporary vision, traditional authority, and progressive advocacy. Perhaps no initiative better exemplified her forward-thinking leadership than her passionate campaign for maternal and child welfare. Recognizing the critical importance of breastfeeding, she instituted an annual event dedicated to encouraging mothers across the Asante region to embrace this natural practice, understanding its profound implications for child development and maternal bonding. During her 5th anniversary celebrations as Asantehima, she demonstrated her commitment through action, making substantial donations to the mother-baby unit, the pediatric emergency care unit, and the pediatric emergency unit at both Komfo-Anokye Teaching Hospital and the Benshia District Hospital. More remarkably, she personally covered all medical bills and expenses for new mothers.
Nana, I will miss our conversations, especially when you would break into song midway in our conversations and shower me with mranie, praises and blessings. I will miss our various shared experiences, supporting you in the running of Asantehima's household, our Christmas gift exchanges, your phone calls and your occasional visits to Asantehene to bless and encourage him. Kotokohima, your Obidombie says thank you for your warmth and generosity of spirit. Your usual greeting to me was, Efira, Mirayere, Krekramiseya, Nana, Nanswan Chayama Meanquama, Ametua Crocroneso. Nehima, in your absence, who will shower me with these appellations and affirmations that made me feel so very special? My beloved sister-in-law, please convey my warmest regards to Master Konofo, Nanefia Kobise Wampim II, your mother, and my dearest departed mother-in-law, as you join her in the realms of our ancestors to watch over Otumfo and our entire family. May the Almighty Chiediampon grant you peaceful passage into the ancestral kingdom. Demri Fedri Nanahima, Mekuma, Memame, and Medofo. Demri Fedri Nanama Kwedu Yadom the third, Kotokohima. Demri Fedri Nana Santehima, Wakuma Senantiye.
It is with profound sorrow and a heavy heart that I join the people of Ghana, particularly Asanteman, in mourning the passing of a truly remarkable matriarch, the late Nana Kunetu Yadom III. She was without a doubt a majestic pillar of strength and inspiration, and not only to the Asanteman and the Manishia Palace, but to the entire nation. Throughout her 8-year reign, she embodied a true essence of Asante values, maintaining tradition with steadfast dedication and projecting an image of dignity and peace. Her wise counsel and astute guidance were invaluable. Indeed, during my limited visits to her palace in Kumasi, I benefited immensely from her profound insights and unwavering dedication to the welfare of our people. She was truly an inspiration and a worthy role model, particularly for the women of Asanteman and Ghana at large. Her devotion to service and unwavering commitment to the welfare of all people were truly unmatched. My wife, Lordina, often spoke of the warmth and maternal embrace that she experienced during her visit to Menchia, feeling truly at home in the Asante Himan's presence.
Sorry about that. You're watching Good Morning Ghana on the Metro Television. The show is also live on 94.1 FM. That's on your radio dial. Please tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend that you can watch, you can actually monitor and follow the conversation we have here on your radio dial 94.1 FM. My name is Awudu Moro. I have been joined in the studio by a private legal practitioner and also a member of the NDC's communications team, representing obviously the NDC this morning on the show. He hasn't been here for a while. He went a bit AWOL, but he's back. He's back to base. Good morning, brother. How are you? It's good to see you.
It's good to see you too. And of course, good morning to your production team. I think I miss you guys. It's fair to say I miss you.
Right. How's the family?
Not bad. We thank God. At least we are doing well, and that is comforting enough.
That's good. How's your party doing? As the NDC in government, are we on course?
Very much so. I think that we've been quite committed to the promises we took to the Ghanaian people in 2024, as far as the elections were concerned. And if you ask me, I think that His Excellency President Mahama and the entire government has been so committed to our social contract with the Ghanaian people. And in cases where many things were not even captured, there are examples of things that were not even captured under our manifesto, but because of the exigencies of government, that they have found novel ways of handling.
And so it is quite commendable. Not long ago, I think a day or two, His Excellency President Mahama cut short for the commencement of the Big Push project. One in the Volta region, and I think one in the Greater Accra region as well. And for me, remember that he announced his candidature for the 2024 election using the Volta region as the base for that announcement. And so when I heard that the sword cutting ceremony was going to take place first in the Volta region, I was quite excited about that particular gesture because it shows that His Excellency President Mahama has not forgotten the role of the Volta region when it comes to the politics of the National Democratic Congress, and most importantly, his own politics as flag bearer of the National Democratic Congress. And so it was not coincidental when he decided to go launch his campaign in the Volta region for the 2024 general election as president, as flag bearer, John Dramani Mahama. Today, thankfully, if you would like, if you are a religious person, you can say that at least the spirits of Volta are firmly behind His Excellency John Dramani Mahama and this government. And that is where the spirit of the National Democratic Congress can be found. And for me, that gesture was telling enough. And I hope and pray that the good people of the Volta region would come to appreciate that we do not take their support for granted. Right. And quite significant is also Greater Accra. You see how the NDC performed in the last election as far as Greater Accra is concerned. So, deservedly so for His Excellency President Mahama to also give that pride of place to activities in Greater Accra. I think somewhere last week he visited the Nsawam road where the
Amasaman,
the Amasaman Stretch Pokwasi area where the contractor gives certain assurances in terms of commitment to the work being done. And within the week, he cut short for the Big Push project in Greater Accra too as well. So that tells you how committed he is to the development of Greater Accra and Volta region. But it's quite significant in many other parts of the country. If you look at the Big Push projects, I think it is dotted across the length and breadth of this country, and something that is commendable. As to whether indeed this government would be able to see it through, you should know that we are dealing with a man that not long ago many of us refer to as the infrastructure king, in terms of how he led developmental projects during his first time, from the building of hospitals to cheap compounds, construction of roads in the capital, and most cases to outside the capital, to a point that many of us agreed, especially in 2016, that indeed His Excellency President John Dramani Mahama was deservedly called the infrastructure king at the time. So if he starts something, I'm pretty much convinced that he would be able to see many of these developmental projects through, like he did. Okay. In terms of the investments he led, also in the energy sector. You remember that he inherited an age-long challenge in the energy sector. As president, he assured the good people of this country that he was going to confront it head-on. Many thought that it was a political rhetoric. By the time he was leaving office, he had contributed in excess of 1,300 megawatts to our generational capacity as a republic, drove the processes that eventually led to the operation of our Atuabo processing gas plant. And clearly, that track record was quite enviable. And the previous administration was not able to even do 5% of what he did in the energy sector in terms of energy generation. So clearly, this is a man who has that track record. And I am pretty much convinced that once again, these projects will be seen through.
Right. But there are some who fear, and perhaps legitimately so, that the performance of this government could be derailed or undermined or hurt by some internal developments within your party, which is that rather than everybody focusing on making sure that you deliver on your mandate, it appears that some bigwigs within your party have started their own political journey, and that's just a suspicion. It's not as a matter of fact. And of course, people are entitled to interpret things when they see it. And it has to do with this thank you tour, which your national chairman has started. He announced a 3-day thank you tour in the Eastern region, and that in itself has stirred some kind of a conversation within your own party and, of course, outside of your party. And some saying that, look, this thank you tour perhaps is some kind of a smokescreen, it's a ruse, and that somebody is trying to prematurely start his campaign towards, leading the NDC in the 2028 elections. So it's less about gratitude, but more to do with the political positioning. Do you see it from where others see it, and those who feel that, look, both within the NDC and outside of the NDC, that this is not, the optics doesn't look good for the government? I mean, what do you think about all of this talk?
Muru, last night I was on another station and I made one point very clear. Indeed, I resisted the temptation to be drawn into an imaginary contest as to who would succeed His Excellency President John Dramani Mahama. And I think that I still want to hold on to that position. For me, it is imaginary because the National Democratic Congress has not opened nominations for the flag bearership contest. Indeed, any movement of people within the party, especially leading members of the National Democratic Congress, is likely to feed into the perception that they are jostling to position themselves for leadership of the party after His Excellency John Dramani Mahama's presidency comes to an end. But then again, these are officials within party and government who have certain responsibilities assigned to them. And they are discharging those responsibilities in a way they understand better. That is left onto them. But I have always argued that I am defined by two fundamental principles on this trajectory of communicating for government and for party. That is the principles of the National Democratic Congress, and most importantly, the promulgation and defense of the legacy of His Excellency John Dramani Mahama. That is my preoccupation. I am not interested at this moment as to who leads the National Democratic Congress, because I believe as a party that we are not there. And it is my conviction that any such steps would undoubtedly fuel the effort of this current government and the commitment of His Excellency John Dramani Mahama to leave a formidable legacy that we can ride on to win the 2028 general elections. And so I have decided not to be distracted by these things. I am focused. For now, I speak for party, and I speak for a president that I have absolute confidence in and loyalty towards. And so for me, that is about it.
Okay.
When it comes to who leads the National Democratic Congress or not, we are not there. When it comes to their activities, the media is forgiven to continue to do their own permutations. And our opponents in the New Patriotic Party are also forgiven to do their own permutations as to the movements or rationale behind the movements of certain leading members of the National Democratic Congress. I will not feed into that perception. I have a job to do, and the job is to propagate the National Democratic Congress, propagate the legacies of His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, and that is about it.
But it doesn't bother you?
That, in all honesty, it doesn't.
I mean, the whole conversation about people positioning and jostling for, for flag bearership positions.
It is
something that bothered the whole conversation.
It is a natural occurrence when it comes to politics. And so such steps would not be surprising to me, in all honesty, especially knowing that His Excellency President Mahama is in his last tenure as President of the Republic of Ghana. Some of these things are expected. But like I have indicated, the task is our ability not to be distracted by these things as a government. And I can assure you that if we ever get to a stage that I feel like the activities are threatening to the legacy of His Excellency President John Dramani Mahama, many of us will speak out, because, Moro, whichever way you look at it, His Excellency President Mahama is not representing himself as the president, at the party. For many of us who are coming from northern extraction, his success would mean a lot for us going into the future. We all know what our senior brother, Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia, is going through now within the politics of the New Patriotic Party. because of certain perceived failures and the implications that would have on many of our northern brothers and sisters within that particular political tradition. So for many of us from that sector, I know that we are focused. The job is to get His Excellency President John Dramani Mahama to deliver, because his legacy is bigger than he himself. His legacy is bigger than his household. His legacy, consciously or unconsciously, would have a bearing on me, Hamza Sohine, seated here. And for me, that is my commitment. And I have always said that, look, as for ambitions of many other people, they can be forgiven to continue to pursue their ambitions. But I will not be drawn into that discourse now. My focus is straightforward. And more, if we ever get there, in this party, we have leaders. I may have my own persuasions as to which direction to go. But I also have leaders that I respect, I revere. And I'm still a young person in the politics of the NDC. So do not be surprised that based on the direction of those who lead us,
in principle,
I probably would go for a particular.
That's fine. But in principle, the idea of thanking Ghanaians for giving this party, which is now government, a massive endorsement in the last elections, almost 9 months into the government, do you think it's a good idea?
Moro, you see, you are being a journalist. And you are attempting to do the very thing that I have been running away from doing. Because if I pass a verdict on that decision, what I would succeed in doing is to divert the minds of the media and the Ghanaian people to begin to run commentary on the politics of the NDC, internal politics of the NDC, to the neglect of the huge infrastructure drive His Excellency President John Dramani Mahama is championing using the big push. Because if I say, look, the timing is problematic, that becomes the discussion. If I say there's absolutely nothing wrong with the timing, it becomes a discussion. And the discourse about the sincere steps of this government would be lost. I will not be drawn into that kind of discourse. You know me. When I have my views, I'm not afraid to share it. But I am telling you that my commentary, I will not conduct myself in such a way that would make it extremely difficult for us to concentrate on the things that matter. And so I'm concentrating on the things that matter for me now. Okay. Road infrastructure, educational infrastructure, national apprenticeship program that His Excellency President Mahama through the National Youth Authority is driving. Okay. And trust me, I've had the opportunity of engaging many stakeholders, in most cases to people who are not citizens of the Republic of Ghana, and they are excited, for example, about the National Apprenticeship Program and the kind of potential that it holds for the youth of this country. And so my focus is on such interventions. How do we drive these interventions to become truly successful and impactful when it comes to youth empowerment? And for that should be our focus.
All right.
And His Excellency President Mahama is focusing on that. He's not concerned about who is doing a thank you to, who is doing what, who is, no. The government is focused. We will not allow ourselves to be distracted by any leading member of the National Democratic Congress.
All right. Yep.
There's a job to be done, and we are focused on that job.
All right. You're suggesting that the conversation really is much ado about nothing.
Absolutely. You see, and that is how disappointing it can be. How many minutes have we spent discussing perception of jostling for political power? How many minutes? Probably would have been intellectually engaged on the policies of this government. The economy His Excellency President John Dramani Mahama inherited, and what he has done so far with the help of Dr. Kaysela Tuforsen.
All right. Let's do this. There's another matter which I know you've been very vocal about, obviously because of your persuasion as a lawyer and an astute one as such. You have been very, very vocal on this matter. And I'm talking about the former CJ, and I'm talking about Justice Araba Esa-Basake Tokonu. She is back in the news. She's fighting a matter at the ECOWAS court, we do know that, but she has filed an application before Ghana's High Court because she has some concerns. Now, today's Ghanaian Times captures it, and Malik Suleimani says the legal tussle over the removal of the former Chief Justice, Justice Araba Saki Tokonu, from office of President John Dramani Mahama is far from over, as she's challenging her removal as a Justice of the Supreme Court. Her application, which is in the nature of a judicial review and filed at the High Court in Accra, contends that her removal as a Justice of the Supreme Court was unlawful, as the recommendation for her removal was in respect of her office as the Chief Justice, which followed a procedure completely different from that of the removal of a Justice of the Supreme Court. Now, Justice Tokonu is asking the court for an order of certiorari to quash the warrant of removal as a Justice of the Supreme Court issued by President Mahama on September 1, 2025, on the basis that it was a violation of the constitutional provisions for the removal of the Justice of the Supreme Court or the Superior Court, and therefore unlawful, null and void. Now, she wants the court to